Hello everyone, and welcome back to my RP-0 playthrough using Race into Space. Sync. Okay. So, Sound and Fury we know beat me to the moon. Beat me to Venus, sorry. And we'll wait on I'm advancing the calendar, although he's quite busy at the moment, so that's fine. And see if Sound and Fury indeed gets his first of this campaign. We, however, are going to be launching this thing for a rendezvous. But we're going to roll it out and then just have it sitting there waiting so that we can launch it and then immediately launch Eagle 4. Which means we're going to need another thing to be building. So let's look back at mission control. What do we have queued up? Well, when is the expiration on this? We'll be okay. Hey Egg, hey Bornholio, hey Lamont. Finish the comm network, do that. We have to do a lunar sample return mission, but we can't really do that until we have hydrolocks because it's going to be at least a few tons. I mean, we have up to 800 tons. We could just build a really big KerbalHacks rocket, but I don't want to. What else is available? Well, we could send more Venus stuff. We could put up a Molnia satellite. Unlock some better satellite contracts. Let me actually look and see what the satellite contracts offer. Oh, we should be unlocking SCANSat soon too. That's cool. Early satellite contracts. Molnia, Tundra, comms network. All right. All right, that's the last milestone. I mean, technically, we could just launch Nest 1 and Nest 2, but I want to verify human docking, because we'll probably need it later, because nobody wants to launch direct descent. Yeah, might as well. We're going to do it anyway. Oh, we can do another lunar landing. That's interesting. 5 times. Right. So we'll get that along with a sample return. When is this expire? 3/8/1954. So we'll pick this up. Get some more money. All right. Still have to decide what to build next, though. Also have to decide about this. So I think now that we developed that other booster for Halo 3, we're going to go back to researching hydrolocks. We really don't care about stage combustion. R&D in 82 days. So let me look at this. All right, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of those. All right, just get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that, and get rid of this. All right. So I think electrics gives us the next antenna, so that's fairly important. But really pretty soon we're going to want better capsules, but I don't have any second-gen capsule I could pick. Tempted to install the FASA to get a Gemini, but I think we'll just do Mark 1 to the moon and come back rather than waiting for Gemini. Bonholio says there is no reason to stack research, right? Well, I assume what you mean by stacking research is having all these things queued up. The reason for doing that now is A, so you don't have to remember to do the next one immediately on one finishing, so you don't lose any research time. And B, because every time you unlock a node in here and it gets queued up, you get an upgrade point. You get the upgrade point then. You don't have to wait for the node to actually research to get the upgrade point. So that's why you want to queue up as many as possible to get the upgrade points as early as possible. All right, so let's go ahead and I gotta figure out what else to build. All right, well, I can milk lunar landers, if nothing else. So let's go ahead and make another. So the lunar lander we had last time was fairly good. So let's go ahead and replace. So we're going to replace this shebang with a monoblock stage with 2 E1s. Okay, this is 3.07.8. So let's upgrade this. R105 NA6. Let's R&D it. We'll get the cheap R&D. Now, let's merge in this. Oh dear. Staging all got shot to heck. Okay, and then that goes there. And these retros, what are they on? They're up there. What? Oh, no, that actually is broadly correct. All right. All right. So I think we'll launch this mission before the sample return mission. Maybe we won't. I don't know. But yeah, we can milk that for some funds. So 3.07.8. All right. Now this gets to become, that's 4 meters. I think we're doing a 15-foot core on this, which is 4.57. Okay. Let's enlarge this. Oops. 4 is about right. This goes to 4.57. Okay. That looks about right. Get rid of these two. And now we need some E1s. E1. Okay, and those are not as large as one might expect. But that seems to be correct for when I looked at that photo. All right. Okay, this now needs to be higher. That's about right. Whoops, no, wrong place. Right place. Now, let's refill the tank. Oh, it has the same. Okay. Apparently it does have the same ratio as everything else. Put 4 of these on here because we need some heftier retros. All right, what is the rated burn time on these things? We also get to R&D these things. 36. Let's increase the data. 2 minutes, 45 seconds. All right. So let's stretch this. Okay. Now, Looks a lot like Saturn 1. Well, the Juno 5 variant of Saturn 1. And we're going to actually, for future use, we're going to bulk this out to 3 meters. I have my reasons. Because fairly soon, we're going to get hydrolocks. We also need to add some 3-meter guidance ring in here, I think. Yeah. Okay, that burner needs to come back a little bit. Local. And we want to fire through the center of mass. Okay. Now, that looks decent. This is now burning for a rather long time. Although, still not up to its limit. Well, let's go with 5 minutes. Okay. And this comes back on here. And we need to set the top to 3 meters. Okay. That looks a bit saner. Liftoff thrust is still a little high, but that's because the idea behind this is that we'll actually have some equivalent of a Centaur up here. Staging looks fine. All right. Okay. Now we have truly ridiculous quantities of delta V. It will only take a few meters per second from the Agena. Sorry, from the Bengal. I should just give up and just call it an Agena, shouldn't I? For us to insert, and then we can use most of it for TLI. Let's also... I think it's probably going to need more SEP motors than just those two. All right. All right. That will do. So this thing is not cheap. This thing is definitely not cheap. But it has quite a bit of launchability. So this is, note the mass. We're actually now broadly equivalent to, we're broadly equivalent to Molniya. in terms of Soviet launch vehicles. We have about the right mass. And we actually have similar that upper and then, although Molniya had a fourth stage. Well, I mean, it had 0 in first stage, then it had a second, then it had a third, and I think the Block L was the fourth. The Voskhod Soyuz variant skipped that stage. So now we have a bit more mass to play with. What kind of heavier payload would we like to land on the moon? Well, things last time worked broadly successfully. The only difference might be that we might want to keep a lunar orbiter, because we can probably chuck almost 2 tons. Actually, here's an interesting question. Let's look up Eagle Block 3. I want to know how heavy it is if we made it ready for a TLI. Let's see. Let's get rid of all this. Okay. And let's look at that. Now we have to put the lunar heat shield on. So let's get rid of this heat shield. And instead put, oh, it's in thermal now. Lunar, 2 meter. Okay. So right away, we're at 1.5 tons. Now let's look at life support. We need about 10 days total, I think. We have next to no capacity free. Very well. We don't need the docking port. That will save mass a little bit. Type a service module. Utilization will be very high because it will all be packed together. Okay. So we want 4,800 there, and that brings our oxygen up quite a lot. Yes, because you can starve for a few days, but oxygen is light and we don't want to run out of oxygen. What's in here? 21 food. So let's put 35 food. And 14 water. Let's put 25 water. Yep. All right, that's looking fine. Now we just need a concomitant amount of waste. Okay. Okay. And the scrubber. was 4 lithium hydroxide for 2,400 oxygen. So we'll put 8 in. All right. And that tank is really kind of too long, but oh well. We're using less than half of its volume. But whatever. It's fine. It'll do. Convention under King. Yes, I fixed stuff for the H1 and the LR79 and all that stuff. I haven't touched entry costs for the LR91 and LR87 in years, so that's probably why somebody needs to go through and do that. But I almost never have FASA installed, so I don't generally have those Aerojet engines hanging around. All right, so we now have sufficient life support. Oh, I didn't carbon dioxide, right. We'll just fix it like that. Close enough. All right, Eagle Block 4. Now, there we go. Which delta V is that? 350 meters per second. Not bad. Now we have to add. Jim Lamont, you're quite right that would be nice. I looked into doing like fixed amounts while resizing tanks, but it's kind of hard. Like locking tanks while you change volume. It's actually, no, it's, well, in simple cases it's not hard, it's just dealing with the edge cases that's annoying. So now what do we need to look at? We need to look at electrical. We still don't have any fuel cells, so we'll have to use solar panels. 156 watts. Let's look at, so this thing, long fuel tank. RCS, antenna, science experiment, control cable, tech, generic converter, takes 36 electric charge an hour. Let's figure out what that actually turns out to. That's 10 watts. All right, so 540 watts. So I think we need 4 of these solar panels. However, yeah, 156. The problem with these solar panels, let's get rid of that. Let's only have one of these things here. There, that'll save some mass. The problem is all 4 of them need to be facing the sun. So either we put 8 of them on, or there's only one orientation in which we'll get solar flux. And Mounting hardware is expensive. I really hope that its attach point is at center of mass. Right. So right. So I need to do this not in symmetry, clearly. Okay. How long until we get electrics? You know what? Yeah, let me see what the, if we have 2 solar panels, that's 312 watts. So our draw is going to be about, let's calculate on 240. 0.24 times 86,400 times, this should be 3 days out, 3 days back. Let's plan for 8 days. All right, so that's so we can take 2 solar panels and have a not unreasonable amount of electric charge. So so we have 2,400, 2,114. All right, we're freeing up space for more electric charge in the probe. 2488, 217.4. $42.52. All right. So that used up much of that. Now let's put more battery in. Oh, we already have 138. So let's put an even 200 in here. Yeah, so that gives us plenty of margin. We might as well put the full amount in. Well, we'll put a little less than that because I want to put a little bit of oxygen in here just in case there's a bug in TAC about where it's drawing from. All right. So that's fine. Okay. Let's center it. Move it down. And now we need another one of these. So move it down a little further. How heavy are these things? 2688. A 100 kilos each. So we can't really afford to take. Yeah, so we can only take 2. That's a shame. I was hoping to make it symmetrical, but that's a fool's errand. All right. So here is our lunar spacecraft with enough delta V that we can change our orbit a little bit. Within 5,000 kilometers, we should be able to do 5,000 kilometers on a free return. Okay. Definitely going to have to send an uncrewed version of this first to verify that it doesn't involve killing people. Yeah. Okay. All up, it's only 2.8 tons. Let's see what this thing can throw. Okay. Oh, shoot. That was not what I wanted to click. That was what I wanted to click. All right. Okay, and then 2 of you to there. Okay, now what stage is that in? That is in, shall we say, the wrong stage. It should be down here. Well, I'll be darned. We don't have to wait for hydrolocks. That's incredible. Where's payload fairing conic? There we are. Let's put 2 of these things on here. Now, the reason I put the struts on is because we're going to dump the fairings as soon as we get out of the atmosphere. Where did you go? I know you're around here somewhere. Yeah, let's just get another one. Okay, so top is 2 meters, and boy, is there a lot of extra height. How heavy are these things? Oh, only 300 kilos for both of them. Well, that's cool. That's more than I expected, or less than I expected. Yeah, so this is going to be our crude lunar flyby, and boy is it crude. Let's fix the extra height on this a little bit. Okay. And on abort, we need to decouple that. On 5, we need to... Yeah. Okay. So yes, this hilariously unsafe contraption should be enough to get us on a lunar flyby. But let me just quickly review my math. $43.15 plus $46.06 plus $37.71 minus $3,300 is $93.92. With a 2-minute 45 lower with a decent takeoff thrust-weight ratio and a 5-minute upper with a little bit extra, we should just be able to manage orbit on 93.92. So yeah, all right, we're good. Look at that. We're going to the moon. Where's these separate? Oh, they separate in the wrong stage. But that's okay. That won't actually materially affect anything. So yes, I think this is worth doing. I totally think this is worth doing. We don't even have to wait for Hydrolox. Hydrolox will let us do a lunar orbit. This is enough to just do a lunar flyby. Assuming we align the solar panels successfully. Blue Diamond is watching and calling me heartless because I'm sending one person there in as spam in a can rather than waiting for Gemini. This is all Scott Manley's fault, by the way, because Scott Manley also did this. Because Scott Manley does not care for how much habitable volume you have. So Lou Diamond, to be fair, I was actually going to wait until I had the Mark I lander can so I could use it like a Soyuz-style orbital module so that there would actually be a decent amount of habitable volume for this trip. But when I saw what kind of TLI I was getting for that lander, what kind of delta V I was getting with that 1.1 tons, I was like, this might work. And yeah, it does. Man, Pete Conrad would sign up for this in a heartbeat. Okay, so yeah, and we'll, you know what? Why not? Let's put them down there so they don't look quite so derpy. Yeah. All right. Frankly, I'm sort of shocked this is working, but I'll take it. That is with an Agena D, isn't it? Let's just double check. Or the whatever it is. Yes. Oh! Oh! No! Heh heh heh. It's not. Right, and I should have known by that. Awesome. We're about to get even more delta V. Wait, but that means that Selena 8 had the wrong one too. Select mount. No mount. Go away. Move this up. Configure it correctly. BA13. Did it have the same? Yes. All right. Oh yeah, I gotta get rid of the fairing. Yeah, that looks right. All right, let's look at the extra height and make sure it still works. Yep, looks about right. Blue Diamond, what is your current LV? Is it basically an R7? Or like, do you have mature orbital rocketry yet? So you have the Molniya class engines, or are you still on the original node? The staging on all this got messed up. Oh, wrong one. Right one. The Diamond. Okay, so back on the original. So you don't have mature orbital rocketry. Do you have staged combustion at all? Or are you basically looking at with an RDO 109? You need to unlock mature orbital rocketry to make things work. Because you need a decent second stage engine. You probably could do TLI on an RDO 109, but you need a decent second stage engine. AJ104D is not going to be. You need to throw 2 tons, because we're really this is 2.5 tons. You probably could do it less. Like, we don't need 356 meters per second. We probably only need about 50 to 100. And you could put more solar panels on there instead of the batteries, and then it would be lighter. But you're still, I don't think you're going to be able to throw anything with a crew, with even a single person in it. Unless you do something like use the X1 cockpit and a lunar heat shield, which is really kind of cheating. Also vaguely dangerous because conductance might make it pop. But yeah, you need something that'll chuck well over 2 tons TLI. And just basic orbital rocketry is not going to be enough. I mean, yes, you could cluster the RDO 109s, but their thrust to weight ratio is pretty poor. Yeah, I mean, that's viable enough. Just their specific impulse isn't great, and their thrust to weight ratio is poor. So I'd be a bit distrustful of them as a second stage. You certainly don't want an AJ10-104D for TLI, because that's going to be way too heavy. You won't get the performance you need. You are going to have to go KerbalHacks for TLI if you don't have an Agena, basically. No, but I'm perfectly happy to help my competitor, because my competitors help me. It's like it's a cooperative, competitive endeavor. Anyway, all right, so this is all ready. We're totally going to build this thing. Because, like, how could we not? In fact, we're going to build 2 of them because we know we're going to need 2 of them. One with no crew and one with a crew. Oh, antennas. Antennas. Right. Scrap. Scrap. Hopefully this will not materially change our delta V. Comms. 2 of these puppies. Can't radially attach. Let's just put them there. Okay. Technically, we could lighten the stage a bit because we don't need... Oh, and these must be fuselage. Yeah, but it's fine. We don't need so much avionics because we can use the capsule's avionics. But the capsule doesn't have enough avionics. All right, so these are now in the wrong stage again. Decouple, XLR81, retros, and Bengal RCS. All right. Yeah, Blue Diamond, even the RDO 110 is pretty good for that. But yeah, obviously an NK9V is going to be better, but you'll have to put something on for roll control. All right, this is back to where it was. Yes, overwrite that. Now let's go ahead and queue up Eagle 5 and Eagle 6. Now this assumes that Eagle 4 will complete its mission, but we'll see about that. Very well. It's going to be quite a while before it... Yeah, even with the high build rates, they still take 82 days a pop to complete. We'll get some money from docking, and then we'll be able to get more upgrades, I think. We'll also get the R&D complex fairly soon. 82 days. Not soon enough. All right. So let's go ahead and get Nest 1 ready. Roll it out to pad able. Let's warp to Eagle 4 being ready. Roll it out. All right. Blue Diamond, yeah, we erred by making stage combustion that cheap. There's no way it should be that cheap. Probably the cost for mature orbital and staged combustion should be swapped. But, well, in the new tree, it's all different anyway. All right, we're going to do a day launch because I don't want to deal with a night launch. Let me see. Let me think here. If we launch one, it will take I'm going to guess about 15 minutes if you count the ascents of both. Maybe there'll only be 10 minutes separation. 10-minute separation is 1/9 of an orbit. So we need to launch right. So ideally we'd launch Nest 1 first and then Eagle 4. But Eagle 4 is going to go into a higher orbit, which means it needs to launch first. And it has like 3 or 4 days of supplies, so it's not even a big deal. Nest 1 needs to launch into like a 150 by 150 orbit. Yeah, so let's do our crewed launch first. This works out. Yeah, we'll launch Ludmila. She hasn't flown a rendezvous before. Yeah, Diamond, the costing was originally based on it only had the S15400. It didn't have the NK9 or the Proton stuff. And the Proton stuff doesn't even come then. And the NK9 shouldn't even come then either. They should be in the next node. But whatever. It's all getting redone in the tree, so it's fine. So we're going to want to go to a fairly high circular orbit on this puppy. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. This actually has a shorter burn to orbit than the other thing. But it's going to go to a higher orbit because we want a higher orbit. So whatever. Actually, let me see if I can... Will it let me do this? Let's see. Probably not. Probably KCT will not let me do this. No, it will not let me do this. Dang. All right, well, who cares? I think that should be about 130. Yeah. Let's do this. Oh, Convention Under King, I didn't know that's actually who you were. Now I know who you are. um, now I know who you are. Okay. Sometimes it's hard matching GitHub names with Twitch nicks, with forum nicks, with IRC nicks. But yeah, now I know who people are. Okay, I'm sorry. Apparently I made this discovery last year during the tutorial campaign, but I have since forgotten it. I'm sorry. That was indeed a while ago, and a lot of stuff in my head since then. So. Well. All right, everything working nominally. Let me check test flight so I can get scared. The LR-105 still isn't at max data, which is not the best. But even not at max data, it still has a lower chance of failing than the LR-79s, so that's fine. Chat science? What is chat? I'm missing something. Oh, I get, yeah, right. Yes, my knowledge score went back to 0. I've stayed with these launch vehicles much, much longer than I usually would, just because I'm trying to do so much as early as possible. Well, that was interesting. The abort tower separated before these ignited. That was an interesting staging mistake, but happily we didn't need the abort tower, so all good. Provost Thrax, yeah, that was my Soviet campaign. This is my race into space thing using US engines. All right, so we're going to launch into sort of a traditional US Mercury Gemini orbit of about 150 by 280. And then we're going to launch the other thing into 150 by 150. We're going to do a slight dogleg with the next launch. The Diamond, yeah, me too. Like, there's no way that in a real campaign I would have postponed rocketry to get, like, comms. But I wanted to launch for that Venus window, so that's what I did. Also docking ports before engines was interesting, but that was because I wanted to launch my sample return mission, and I thought I had to dock, but then I still didn't have the tonnage for it. I think I still won't have tonnage for sample return even with this new launch vehicle. I mean, I could double my upper stages effectively. Like I could put a 2 LR105 upper stage and then a 2 XLR81 Fatagena upper stage. And that might work. But I think I'd better just wait for Hydrolox to do the sample return. All right, I believe we want our period to be about 105 minutes, maybe less. We might get it after 2 orbits. So let's try something like 95 minutes for our period. Okay. Oh, that's perilously close to breaking the crude altitude record, actually. You know what? Why not? Right? Why not? Why the heck not? Let's break the crude altitude record. Convention underking, yes, you can use KCT to do that. Once you've queued up a node, you can delete all its prerequisites from the queue and just research that node. It is kind of a cheat. But don't do that. It's bad. What the heck? Where did Nest go? That's an interesting bug. What? How is there Nest debris? What is going on here? Oh, I think because I had Nest rolled out and switched pads so that when I went back to flight, Nest was what was up, but it, that's a, yeah, because this was supposed to have, that's not Nest. All right. And I didn't save. That just disappeared without a trace. All right. We're going to I'm going to do some save file editing. And we'll be right back. Grumble. Sorry guys, this will take a sec. Man, these files are long. All right. Nest 1. Progress. Build time 692. All right. Hopefully I have hacked this sufficiently that it will let me roll it out instantaneously. Cross your fingers, everyone. That is an interesting KCT bug. Yes. Ugh, now it's going to take 4 hours to roll out? You're kidding me. All right. So let's hack this. Ship ID. Oops. Where's the rollout? Oh, I think I can hack the build cost, but not the rollout. Dang. Dang, dang, dang. Recon rollout. There we are. Recon vessel rollout. So I can actually hack this. Good. Cross your fingers that this works. Yes, it worked. All right, let's do this. That was an interesting interlude. All right. Lower turn end, that's for sure. Let's try that. All right. Let's see how this works. Yeah, about KCT, you can rearrange stuff so that you unlock later nodes before earlier nodes, but that really is kind of cheating. I think I mistakenly did that at one point, and I noticed it and corrected it in my research order. But yeah, it's I guess that's something that Magico can fix at some point. Mostly doesn't come up. Well, yeah, let's target our compatriot here. Oh, the naming also got screwed up, because that's counted as Nest 1. Interesting. So we're going to have to rename it Eagle 4 when we switch back to it. Relative inclination is 0.81. Ouch. All right, let's dogleg a little bit. All right. I think that's probably enough dogleg for anybody. Yep, that's pretty good. We'll keep it at 0.1 degrees. That should be fine. Less than 0.1 degrees. It's close enough for anything. I mean, we'll do a plane change at some point. I think we'll do a plane change on the other thing. RCS to on. Steering losses. Freaking steering losses. Oh, oops, that made it, did that? Yeah, all right, that's acceptable. Stitch the fairings. Convention under King milestones usually aren't, but things like lunar landing are repeatable. Also, there's an issue with the contracts where some of the repeatable contracts, like single crew orbital mission or 2 crew orbital mission, are stuck under human milestones, and they should be in their own human repeatables category. Hopefully that answers the question. .5 kilometers per second to go. So this will have almost a kilometer per second excess delta V. That's fine. Pitch up prior to apogee. speed you up a lot more. 2 kilometers per second to go. Convention Under King, no, that's it. Actually, if you look at the description of that contract, it will tell you how many times you can complete it. The milestones that are not infinitely repeatable but can be done more than once will tell you in their descriptions how many times they can be done. Okay, this is quite a low parking orbit, but that's okay. Yep, so you can compete it 3 times. That sounds about right. That way you can fly it once to verify it, once as a film return mission, and once to test your capsule. Sure thing. Happy to explain. Pitch back down a little bit. Okay, that's about right. So this took 7 minutes, and we're 7 minutes behind. So we should actually rendezvous. Look at that. We're already quite close. Separation, 500 kilometers. That's not awesome. Down to 71 kilometers. And let's go ahead and match planes. .2 meters per second. So we're a bit off. Okay, we burned a bit too far. Let's flip. So this was not launched to rendezvous, but it's launched to rendezvous in a single orbit, which is pretty nice. I'll accept that. Hey, Pap. All right, that's close enough. Now let's go ahead and go back to our capsule, which really should not be nest 1. It's picking up the probe instead of that. Switch to. Let's rename it to Eagle 4. And let's perform our docking. believe I have NavyFish's docking thing installed. Yes, I do. Good, because I wouldn't want to do that. I don't have the RCS. I don't have the Delta V to do it with MechJeb, because MechJeb spends, yeah. Rename. Where's rename? Eagle 4. That was a really weird bug. Shut down avionics? Oh, yeah, no, they can't. They can't be shut down while crewed. Okay. Okay. Let's ride it up and get our record. Oh, I should target the actual nest one. Oh, we're basically in the plane of Orbitron. That's cool. At the nearest ANDN. It's in 5 minutes. All right. And let's get the rendezvous planner up and look at our closest separation. Less than 2 kilometers. Excellent. Four minutes. 3 minutes. 2 minutes. 20 seconds. All right. We now have next to no relative inclination, and our separation at closest approach is less than 1 kilometer. Let's go ahead and match velocities with target at closest approach. 200 meters per second. That's going to be a good minute burn, but that's fine. Oh, oops, deactivate that. All right, now let's warp. No, this is not the crewed lunar flyby. This is just the docking first, the docking milestone. I did actually figure out, I think in the part before you signed on, that I could chuck this thing TLI without unlocking hydrolocks. Use the Agena for, sorry, I keep doing that, the Bengal for almost nothing more than TLI, and I actually can throw that into orbit with, I rebuilt the Bluedog to be, use 2 E1s on the first stage and stretch the second stage. Okay, look at that, crewed altitude record. We got a little money for that. We probably should make those bigger milestones. So Pap, yeah, if I were doing lunar orbit, I would have to do Earth orbit rendezvous to do it. And yeah, I would launch a, yeah, it would be like the Gemini plans where you'd launch a, basically you'd launch it, you would rendezvous with an Agena, and a Centaur would push the whole thing TLI. Okay, at about 5 minutes out, I want to line up. Okay. Oh, let me also just make sure that I've gotten the... Did I remember to take a... orbit? Yes, I did remember to take that. Apoapsis below 500 kilometers, periapsis above 200 kilometers. All right, so after the rendezvous, we'll have to change our orbit a bit to match those parameters, but that's okay. For SLS, I don't actually know what it changes every week. I don't know what the current plan is. All right, so we're going to align, and we're going to use that nest thing to modify our orbit so that it's something sane. All right, so we want to be, think about 30 seconds before node to do this. NASA would say heck no to this entire mission profile, let alone just that closing velocity. Let's push it back aligned. See if we can pick it out. There it is. All right, so we're going to get closer. Again, NASA would say no to doing this. All right. Let's push that velocity vector right on top of target minus. Okay. Oops. Was not paying attention. Man, that would have resulted in so much bad in real life. But happily this is KSP, so we didn't both explode. I was trying to avoid doing that, and I failed at avoiding doing that. Huh? What's wrong with this? Why does it not have controls? I have no idea. Anyway. Oops. Let's pitch back. Got the docking alignment indicator up. And that No Gender King points out that is indeed exactly why NASA says don't do this. All right, let's control from here. Where did it go? There. Okay, let's align. Okay. SAS is apparently not doing a darn thing. That's annoying. This is weird. All right, so we'll use MechJeb's kill rotation. Okay. All right, now we're aligned properly that direction. Now let's go ahead and fix things this direction. Yeah, this is why we have actually balanced RCS instead of rotational RCS. All right. So now we'll inch over. This way. Should be about right. Yep. Okay. Okay. Let's try to get horizontally aligned first. Okay. We still have plenty of delta V at least. These RCS thrusters are not thirsty. Also, I'm glad I don't have to worry about orientation on the roll axis, because I don't think we modeled that yet. Okay, that's about right. Getting there. We're almost there. .30 centimeters a second. Let's align orientation a little better. Okay, we're almost aligned. Okay, now we're lined up. Should have turned on the pods RCS to balance things. Let's go ahead and turn these things off, because we're going to use the other things engine for our orbital corrections. Why is MechJeb not doing its job? Odd. Whoa. All right, well, that works. I guess, yeah, our tolerances are too generous if that worked. That's for sure. All right, now we'll control from here. And we need to raise apogee. Sorry, we need to raise perigee. And we will do it at apogee. We have a good bit of delta V remaining. Wonder why they're not actuating. Weird. Weird, man, weird. Anyway, but we'll do it off the hydrazine that's in this. It's fine. We have plenty of hydrazine. Okay. Oh, oops. Solar panels are improperly aligned. First docking. I need to sync. Okay. Let's make this stable. It is. Why is MechJeb not doing anything? What do you mean vapor and feed lines? Okay. Whatever. That was weird. Also, SAS is not doing a darn thing. This mission has been riddled with issues. To orbit 1 day, 7 hours and 29 minutes. Very well. I think I'm going to cast off that stage. Get the heck away from it. And we'll just go ahead and orbit for 1 day, 7.5 hours. Because we have plenty of life support, do we not? Yes. We still have our 3 days. Yeah, so RO does patch the magnetics, the allowable limits and the magnetic force, but it looked like maybe we missed that docking port because it still looked fairly magnetic in that case. RO does have patches for all of that to make it quite low. I mean, obviously in real life it would be 0, but that's a bit hard. Yeah, Blowfish, maybe the patch is not running right. CPTJRT, thank you so much. I have a lot of fun doing it, and I'm glad other people enjoy it. All right, let's reactivate the engines. Okay. All right, that'll give us some actual separation. One day, 6 hours. Let's go faster. $18, $17, $16. Sorry about the flickering. Two hours, 1 hour. All right. We're in a fairly circular orbit, so we can just perform retrofire whenever we want. So let's finish the timer. Was it 5 minutes? 2, 1. Okay, orbit completed. We may now return home. We also completed X-Planes High and the altitude record. So yeah, we're good. Where do we want to land? Well, I would say that looks like the Pacific is where we're going to land. About there. And that should be a sufficient retrofire. Okay, aligned. SAS does not seem to be doing anything, but whatever. Given our experience last time, even though I fixed the bug with thermo, I'm still going to go ahead and do a ballistic reentry. Blowfish, yeah, that does seem quite high. Yeah, we need to revise those patches. That would explain things. All right, that'll give us probably a peak of about 7.5 Gs. We don't have a negative perigee. So, yep. I'm going to go ahead and save, given how buggy everything else today has been. Let's warp on down. Now we're on the sun side. All right, we're at 160 kilometers. Let's orient for interface. Let's go SFL minus. We still have a bunch of delta V left, so we overstocked things a bit. Oh yeah, and we might as well align properly this way. So let's give the thing a good while to get away from us. And here we go towards atmospheric interface. .3 entry angle up here. Let's see what the entry angle is closer to interface, to like where NASA would count this as interface. Which I think 0.05 G line is going to be about the Kármán line, I think. Nice South Pacific landing. Yeah, we're well short of 0.05 Gs. All right, according to NASA's Mercury missions, 0.05 Gs was where reentry supposedly started, and that we hit at 95 kilometers. And our entry angle is 1.2 degrees. So we're going to hit a peak G of, yeah, about 7.5, I think. We could do a lifting reentry, but I kind of don't want to mess with things. Definitely don't want to mess with things. So we're not going to do a lifting reentry. Now watch there be another thermo bug or something and everything go kaboom. But I don't think so. Our ablator is still fine. Still plenty of life support, plenty of electric charge. It's all good. Chutes are already armed. Pap, yes indeed, everything went well. There was some interestingness, but we still didn't have SAS working the way it should. But the mission went fine. So. Got a lot of contracts. Ludmila becomes the, I think, third person to do a rendezvous, assuming no one else has done a rendezvous since then. And we'll see whether I'm the first to do a docking. There goes the service module. Yeah, I don't know where it is. Somewhere over Dataway, I guess. Actually, it might be behind us because it has a lower ballistic coefficient than we do. Okay, there's the 1G line. 70 kilometers. Now our entry angle is steepening, but that's fine. It's no longer our entry angle. Now it's just our descent angle. The flames start up. All right, no idea why MechJeb is spending RCS like that. All right, we'll do like real life and put us in a small, a few degrees per second rotation. To equalize the heating. See if we even get up to 7.5. We might just peak at 7.25. No, I think we're going to hit 7.5. Nailed it. All right. Now we just wait for the chutes. Because it's going to be a while. 10 kilometers. 7, 6, 5. Drogue out. But reefed. Drogue unreefed. Main out and unreefed. Time warp back up. .3, 2. How much ablator did we use? 50 units. .200 meters, 100 meters, 20 meters, and well, good enough. All right. See what we recovered. No science from that. $3.33 million. And she does not gain any experience. And we complete X-Planes High and Orbital Flight 1 crew. All right. So we're 7 days from unlocking Hydrolox engines. We're already building Eagle 5, which will do a circumlunar flight without Hydrolox. It'll basically be a Zond mission. And then if all goes well, we'll launch Eagle 6 with someone aboard and do our circumlunar flight. What's active? Crude lunar flyby, comms network, landing, and sample return. All right. Yeah, I think we're good. So thank you everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm going to go ahead and synchronize one more time. And I will see you next time. Bye.